Hello, my name is Nicholl, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, They Won't Believe You. They Won't Believe You. This is a tactic that the enemy has used all too well, especially with young people. Something happens to you that hurts you immensely. The abuser, the user is confronted, and you say, I am upset that you did this to me. You hurt me, and I'm going to tell whoever. And that abuser or user says, go ahead, tell. They won't believe you. They won't believe you. It could be a relative. It could be a stranger. It could be somebody at the workplace. A person telling you that you won't be believed. So you go ahead and you start talking. Guess what so-and-so did? Let me tell you about this person that you like or love so much. I have a truth I have to share with you, and it's going to hurt you. And you may not believe it, but I got to tell you anyway, because it's breaking my heart. And then after you share the information, the person looks at you in disbelief, and out comes, I don't believe that. You know, you just didn't want us to be close. I can't believe that you're telling lies. Oh, you're such an exaggerator. So-and-so never said that. I don't even recall you even being anywhere over in that area. What are you talking about? You know they love you. Oh, some of you all, you heard it. It triggers some thoughts. Because some folks have put away these thoughts for a long, long time. Some folks have acted as if nothing ever happened. Now these issues are showing up with children and grandchildren, and you're still acting as if nothing ever happened. And that's not how he is, or that's not how she is, and you're mistaken. This individual, the user or the abuser, has caused such a divided family. This person has caused so much drama and trauma, and yet we got some people who just disbelieve any and everything because why? That's the relative. That's the person with the holy title. That's the person who is so special and so sweet and would never hurt a thing, and they're too old to do this, that, and the other. You'd be surprised at what some old people can do. You see, a lot of these people, they're doing a lot of things that are anti-age defying, and they're strong even when they look so feeble and weak. Don't be so trusting. Somebody needs to hear this today. Don't be so trusting. I know sometimes the person who's coming to you with the truth might be just a bit off, or strange, may have caused you much hurt and difficulty. But the truth is going to show up in the most unlikeliest places with the most unlikeliest people. The truth will shake you up in the middle of the night. The truth will cause you to start thinking about what people have told you. The truth will start putting these little pieces of the puzzle together, the things that you don't really want to think about. You might even say that it's the devil that's putting all this together. But in the end, if you have experienced even a little bit of discomfort with someone or something, God put that there to open up your eyes to tell you it's time to start believing. How much evidence does a child have to show? How many things do people have to come and tell you? How much paperwork has to be built up upon someone? You know, even now, as old as I am, I will go and I will talk to some folks about some things that are taking place. And I mean, I'm older than some of these folks, and they'll say, oh no, Nicholl, no, that didn't happen. No, I don't believe that. Why would I, come on now, somebody, you know what I'm talking about. Why would I want to make up something at this point in my life? I'm speaking boldly. I'm walking boldly. I ain't got time to be telling no falsehood stories. Look, This is what I saw, right? This is what I experienced. Check the cameras. You know, I mean, really. And you get these people that because they got their favorites, whether it's in the workplace or at home or at the church or at the club or whatever, they will defend the liar. They will defend the user. They will defend the manipulator. Some of these folks got so much money, so much material from these people. And yes, it is going to be difficult to get through to them. That's why the accuser, abuser, what have you, will say things like, they won't believe you. You know what I have given them? You know how much time I have invested? She needs me. She ain't gonna believe you. Oh, he knows that I got a lot of dirt on him. So he knows not to go and tell anybody anything about me. So go ahead on. You can tell whoever you want to tell. I got connections over here, says the abuser, user, and even the false accuser. Because you got some of those, they'll turn it around on you. You will accuse them, and it's a rightful truth. It's a judgment. And they'll say, yeah, well, what about you? And make up a story on you. See, all of it is about protecting their reputation. All of it is about not getting that story out about who they really are. They'll intimidate the children. They'll bribe. They will promise things. You got adults, and some of your siblings may be in something like this. You got adults that are caught up in a trap with relatives because relatives keep saying, I'm going to give you if you do. I'm going to do for you if you keep your mouth shut. You know you don't want to see your daddy in jail. You know you don't want your uncle to be here, there, and everywhere. And so these siblings walk around and they keep quiet. They know stuff that you don't know. They've experienced stuff, witnessed things. Please, please don't call the police. Please, please don't tell so-and-so. Oh my gosh, if she show up, if he show up, you know it's going to be drama. Meanwhile, it may not be drama. It may be somebody who figures out something where, okay, I won't call the police. I won't do too much of anything other than you make sure that all these bills get paid. Oh, they work a plan. They work a plan that benefits themselves. Some of them siblings, relatives, extended in-laws, what have you, they know some things, but they worked out a deal. Look, I'll keep this under wraps if you do A, B, and C. I know you were drunk that day. I know you were caught up with a lot of emotional issues or what have you, but you know, if you do this, that, and the other for me, I promise I won't say. That's why you get some of these children that you got one group that knows everything went down. It was ugly. It was dark. And they went and they told. But then you got this other group that they know something went down, but they were paid. They were given things. They, were promised a whole lot. So they'll say, no, I don't know what you all are talking about. No, that's so-and-so. He would have never done that to us. And so you got the one group who's accused of lying, and whatever else. And then you got the other group who's considered a favorite because, see, I want to believe that that relative, that priest, that teacher, that doctor, that lawyer, whoever didn't do these things. You see, the title comes first with a lot of folks before anything else. They keep looking at that title. They keep looking at, that's the mother. She wouldn't do that. That's the father. That's the minister. He wouldn't do that. You see, they come down on these priests a lot. But then you got ministers, you got evangelists, you got deacons who's doing the same thing. But you see, some folks, depending on what all they are they've grown up with, depending on what community they live, depending even what ethnicity or what have you, what they've been taught, they will never squawk on those ministers, evangelists, and deacons who have done their share of dirt, or those people who belong to certain fraternal organizations, civic associations, what have you. They won't say what goes on in those circles. Children passed around. Come on. Women raped. Men defiled under substance abuse. Come on. There's a lot that goes on. And people sit up there who do these things and tell their victims, you won't be believed. We got this on you. We got that on you. We'll take your house. We'll take your car. We'll hurt your children. We'll do this, that, and the other. But I'll tell you that God, He is equipping the saints to deal with whatever the enemy puts in front. Threaten to murder a child or actually murder a child. Okay, life keeps going. What? Yeah, life keeps going. They hated Jesus. They'll hate us too. See, mentally, you got to be prepared. You got to be prepared for any and everything. Because when you walk with the one true God and you put God on a case, you know the enemy's going to rise up sooner or later to do something. So that's why some people, the stories never are talked about. The things are never exposed because somebody got something on you. Somebody's holding something on you. The bond or bind they have upon you is ridiculous. Some people can't move right. They can't move left. They can't go here. They can't get a job. They can't do too much of anything because somebody told them years ago you won't be believed. And then they get older and you got folks, like I said, even now, I don't know what you're talking about. No, she would never do that. He would never do that. I'm telling you in the name of Jesus right now, there are some ugly, ugly, dark, disturbing, messy people in this world who they look very innocent. They act, and it's an act. That's all it is. Kind, sweet, considerate. But you got to go through some, oh Lord Jesus, some drawers. You got to go through some closets. You got to go through some of those things that they got password protected. When you suspect, when you detect, when there's been more than just one person coming and telling you some things, when God Himself gives you a dream, a vision, a sign. Have there been people who have been wrongly accused? Absolutely. There wasn't enough evidence. So if there's not enough evidence, we don't have no business pointing a finger at folk. But when you know that, Lord Jesus, that there is more than enough information, you don't make no excuses for people. And you don't put on this air like, what? I don't know. I really? You don't do that. You say, I'll look into it. You'll say, thank you for that information. I appreciate you sharing. And then you do further research. You set traps. You see what I mean? Somebody needs to bow their head for not believing, for not doing their due diligence, for being disrespectful toward the victims. Somebody needs to confess sin and repent because, see, we got some individuals that their day is coming. Oh, you didn't want to believe me? No, because you know, you exaggerate, you tell lies. Don't worry about it. Because, see, when it comes upon you, you see, some fathers, they were very mean-spirited, ugly, disrespectful, and nasty toward children. But then they weren't that way with the mother or their mistress or somebody else. But then as they get older and things aren't working and they can't get what they want, now all the abuse that they put upon the children, grandchildren, what have you, now they're putting it on the wives and mistresses or what have you. See, this is how this game, if you will, Satan works. See, what goes around does come around, even in the demonic. See, you may have been a witness and you just looked at what was going on with your siblings and thought it'll never happen to me, right? You were maybe 10, 15, 18 years old. It didn't happen to you, but it happened to some other people. Now you get to be 20 some doggone years old, 30 some years old, and somebody is acting real mean and nasty towards you. And then you get to see the other side. to that person and you realize, oh my goodness, my siblings was right. Oh wow, the rumors about that relative is correct. You just got to give truth time to manifest itself. And see, you get some who are self-righteous, who think because things haven't happened to them that they never will. And there's that possibility that you might manage to get through this life and not have anybody seriously abuse you. But then that doesn't mean that it won't happen to your children, especially if you are that type of individual that has done your share of dirt to people. Okay. The demonic can't stand human beings. I got to say that again, because you got some people who think that they walk on the dark side. They're protected. They're okay. They're all right. I'm a part of the fraternal group that celebrates the demonic, so I'm good. No, the demonic hates humans. That is why some people are suffering right now. They crossed over into a dark connection, and that dark connection, its intent is to kill you. It's to steal from you. It's to destroy you. And one way to do that is with these simple words. It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. You deny it. You don't believe it. But it did happen. You see. Mind games. Mind games start to take place with some of these people. And so then when you start getting your senses back and you start saying, okay, wait a minute, there is something wrong here. And you go to the people to see if you can get some type of validation on your story. They say, I don't believe you. I don't know what you're talking about. But you were there. I don't know what you're talking about. Denial, denial. Crazy making type of behavior. You're crazy. Ooh. Meanwhile, they know things happened. But they're not going to let you know that they know things have happened. You see, playing tricks with your mind. I can't make this stuff up. I wasn't on any drugs at the time. I mean, I wasn't messing around with this, that, and the other. I saw what I saw. I felt what I felt. And then somebody comes forth, Lord Jesus, and they say, this did happen. And you all are going to stop this lying. Oh, but, no. And they figure out their way of breaking those people down to get them to finally confess what they did. Sometimes people think in terms of sexual abuse, but there's so many different types of abuses out here. There's the emotional abuse that a parent puts upon a child. You got to do better. You got to make sure that this is done and that's done. It's a psychological torment, because to know that there's somebody that can hurt you over the simplest of things, you find yourself crossing T's and dotting I's a little more than everybody else. The voice or voices inside your head are always on your back. You got those types of abuses that are out there where they bring up psychological trauma over and over again. Remember when I did this to you? Well, I'll do it again. Remember what happened to that beloved dog of yours? Remember what happened to your child? Do you want that to happen again? And so the person relives the trauma over and over again. You got some people who will hide things. And you will swear, I put this right here. And the person then moved it. And then you go and you confront the person. They say, I never touched it. Gaslighting. You got some folks who will put you in a state of mind where you feel isolated from your family members and friends. All they want is for you to be around them and only them. All they want is for you to dance by the beat of their drum. And you're not to go nowhere else and dance by anybody else's drum. That means you don't need to read that book. You don't need to watch that show. You don't need to go over there. You don't need to talk to this one and that one. They paint you in this box. And you are to stay inside this box. And if you act like you leave this box, then there are consequences. Some of the consequences are abusive, physically, others are verbally, others are using things like the silent treatment. I'm not going to talk to you for days, for weeks, because I don't like what you've done. And since you already feel isolated because everybody who you talk to, they had an issue with, and you cut those people off, so now you're left in that box with no way out. But you do have a way out, and that's called having a faith. Okay? Simply put, we're not going to use any psychological terms or anything like that. Just have a faith in the being of all beings, Messiah of all messiahs, holy, righteous, the one true God, Alpha, Omega. Some call him Yahweh. A son who died on the cross. His name, Jesus. Have a faith. I can get out of this because my spirit is so much greater than my flesh. Sure, they tell me that I won't be believed. But there's always that one in the crowd that says, well, try me. I want to hear your story. You want to hear my story? Yeah, I want to hear your story. And they're not going to wash your face with it. They're not going to abuse you and use you with it. They're going to say, you know what? I can take these lemons and make lemonade with it. You're going to get paid for all the pain and suffering you went through. Your children are going to get blessed. Your grandchildren are going to get blessed. You don't have to rely on any abuser, accuser, or user. You're going to be the head and not the tail. Somebody needs to be encouraged this day. Your truth is going to break the binding situations and emotional abuse and verbal assaults and physical limitations and all of that somebody has put upon you, because you're going to stop telling yourself that I won't be believed, that nobody will care, that they'll hate me if I say this and say that. What is in darkness sooner or later comes out in the light, and that includes people's personalities. Sure, he put on a good act. Sure, she looked like she was such a sweet and nice person. But when you get around true children of darkness long enough, their false fronts begin to crack. Some of you all don't want to believe it, but it doesn't matter whether you want to believe it or not. Their false fronts will crack. And some of you all, you don't want to let them know that you know, because you're still getting money, because you're still getting housing, because you're still receiving certain things from them. But that's okay, and that's all right, because God can supply your every need. Now, some people, you can't expose too much of anything right now because your safety is at risk. So therefore, you should be making every effort to exit that household. You should be making every effort to get free from what you are ensnared in. You should be putting money away. Some of these mothers long left 6 feet deep in the ground. Mothers of the church and elsewhere. But they said you should have some money put aside. You should save some money. You don't give all your money to your children. You never know the day, the hour you got to go. Some fathers have told their sons the same thing. She make more money than you? Oh, you better make sure that you got some money for yourself. Because I see something flaky there. I see something strange. I see something weird. Something's off. I can't see this thing that you got going on lasting. I can't see you staying at that workplace with all that confusion going on. People don't believe what you're saying. People stealing and lying and cheating and everything else. You better start looking for another job. We got some wise counselors around. So, those of you all who have taken that moment to just bow your head and think about some things and give it over to the one true God, understand that God will work on your behalf, because all it takes is a mustard seed faith. And for those of you all who have been the victims for far too long of this sort of thing going on, where people disbelieve what you're telling them, then you ask the Lord for a plan that's going to set you free from these people who don't want to believe you. who think that you're crazy, that you're going mad and all this other stuff. Lord Jesus, I need a plan. I need some resources. I need some help. And then once you get it, you go to where that help is. And don't go telling your accusers and abusers and whoever else what you're doing. You never let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. You don't do that. That's how people end up in their graves prematurely. You've been so warned. Blessings to you. Please do check the description box for anything that might be of interest. If you would like to give, we do welcome giving. You can see the links in the description box as well. And be encouraged. Know that God is with you every step of the way. Be in your word. Be around like-minded believers. You don't have to meet in the traditional church if that bothers some of you all because you've gone through your share of issues. There are those believers that meet in hotels. There's those believers that will meet with you over the internet. There are those believers that will even meet with you at the local coffee shop. And you can tell them, I'm uncomfortable with going to the traditional church, but I do need to talk to someone, okay? Once again, blessings to you.